Welcome to the Bearded Finisher Podcast, your one-stop show for all things finishing and coatings. Your host, Zach, and a variety of industry experts will guide you through the art of perfecting your finishing and business game. From seasoned pros to fresh faces, get ready for tips, tricks, and trends to elevate your knowledge and business to the next level.
I mean, I tell people all the time when I would be talking to them about refinishing, and they'd be like, "Man, that's expensive," and I'm like, same reasons, but I'd be like, so I tell it to them this way, and I was like, so if this is the forever house, and you plan on your grandkids coming here, and God willing, your great grandkids, I'm going to use a product that's going to last that long. I'm going to give you a 30-year product. Minimum 30-year life product that's going to look the same today as it does in 30 years. That's the quality of product I'm using. If you want something that's going to last you 5 to 7 years, because this is the first house, a beginner house, and you don't plan on being here, this isn't the product for you, and I'm just probably not 100% sure that I'm the finisher for you.
Is at that point when someone's nickel and diming the material cost, they don't care about the end result.
Yeah, I tell guys that I'm coaching all the time, I'm like, what's your hourly rate? Go up $5 an hour on a week job, a 40-hour job. How much is that? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I can get another $400 out of them. It's like, if you can't get another $400 out of them, they're not the customer you want.
Yeah. And listen, there's people that will cater to those customers, but it doesn't have to be every person catered to that way. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It goes back to what we talked about earlier. You've got to decide, do you want to work a lot for a little bit or work a little bit for a lot?
Exactly.
It depends on your business. And hey, there's nothing wrong with the Walmart business model.
No, because there's plenty of people. There's a lot of people out there. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there. And I talk a lot of shop with a lot of guys because I like to get input. I branch out to see if someone has something else that I'm not thinking of, and whether it's how they construct things, what materials they use, whatever it is. And I don't care about talking, the back end of things of like what really makes you profitable, how much you charge, all that, because there's so many people out there. There's plenty of jobs for everyone. As long as everyone's improving with each other, we're making this a better place. We don't have to compete to blow each other out of the market. We should all be doing good work because there's plenty of work out there for everyone. And the way I see it.
Look, there's so many houses out there. I mean, all cabinets, houses, condos, so much stuff to paint out there. Everything has paint on is what I tell these guys. And, I used to go, when I had my company in Oklahoma, I used to go once a month. There's like 4 of us. We were like the go-to. We go lunch once a month. Hey, guys, I'm raising my prices. I think I'm gonna go up $5, and they'd all go, "We're in." And I'll be like, "Hey, I just bid one over there on, Peoria," and they're like, "Oh, $33.25." Yeah, I bid that. I walked it today, got everything. Man, their timeline, I don't think I'm gonna be able to touch it. And he's like, "Oh, I'm going there this afternoon." I was like, "All right, I had it about like 2,000 hours is what I think it was gonna take for what they were wanting." He was like, okay. I mean, if you get into that what I call transformative relationships with and they're not competition, they're partners.
Yeah. Yeah.
You all make money.
Well, what I like about this, and really one of those things I really learned from my dad, is keeping things small. Like if you want to be that one company who grows so big that you want to literally hold everything in your arms and not let anyone in, you're going to fail at some point, and you're going to fail catastrophically. If you're working in that group with a bunch of little guys and you're all communicating, that's so much stronger. And everyone can really, you're improving the whole community around. There's these communities, these pockets of very wealthy people that will pay good money. Now, you bring a bunch of good guys into there, they start to grow as well. It's you're really bringing everyone up from that. And it's, stop being too selfish about it. Let other people come into that.
there's plenty out there for all of us. When you say pockets of community, that reminds me of, so I had, when at my biggest point, I had 12 guys, and then I dialed it back down to like 6, 8 guys because it was too much. But it was interesting. Most of my guys were Hispanic and some white guys, but there was a huge majority of Hispanic guys that worked for me. And the guy that actually bought my company, my crew leader, a Hispanic guy, awesome. His name is Edgar. And we were talking about something. I don't remember what we was talking about. Still to this day, I think it's one of the craziest and most amazing things for small communities. How you say that when you find that community, you let people in. So they had a group, and there was 25 guys in a group. And every week they got paid, and everyone gave $20 to one guy. And the next week it was the next guy. And the next week it was the next guy. For if you needed something for your house, if you wanted to save it, some guys would save it. And then if someone else had an emergency, they were able to help them out. Sometimes they sent it home to family. But it's like, when you were in that community, like that's how they grew. And
everyone grew together.
Everyone grew together. Every week it was a different guy. And it was just, and some, like he said, he was telling me, like some groups it's $5, some groups it's 10, some 20, some 30. But every week it just goes in a circle. And once you get to the end, it just starts over. It never ends. And I'm like, that is a community. I mean,
yeah. That's a great thing to have right there. That is, I mean, if only that could be exemplified through, a lot of different things. That would just bring so many people up, and everyone goes forward. That's literally an example of everyone just going forward. And I'm glad to hear that.
And I've mentioned it in my other podcast. I read a book. I don't have it in here. Who Not How is still one of my favorite books. I don't know if I said on every podcast, but damn near every podcast. And in that podcast, it talks about, you don't have to know how to do everything. You need to find a who that can do it for you. Because you find who's, then they do what they do and you do what you do. Like, you don't have to figure out how to do everything. And then you're going to be a who to them because they don't know how to do something. And they're going to ask you to do it. It's a two-way street. And he kicks that over and talks about it being, he starts talking about transformational relationships. And that's the only thing he allows in his life. He does not allow, he says there's two types of relationships. There's transformational relationships and there's transactional relationships. And transformational is where I'm making you better and you're making me better and we're going better together forward. And transactional is I pay you A, you give me what I want, and F off. There's no beneficial. It's like, I'm paying you, you give it to me, and that's it. He's like, if it's not a two-way street, if we're not going together forward, then you can't be in my circle. You have no benefit to me. If you just want to pay me to do a job and then say F off at the end, like, I don't do that. And I've kind of adopted that rule, and it's, for lack of a better term, and this term gets used way too much, it is a game changer when you recognize that. And once you start looking for it, you can see it quick. When I just want you because you got something I need. I don't got anything for you. I'm not giving you any of my stuff, but you got something I need. And you start cutting that fat out. Oh man, it's amazing.
So the thing we left off was the finishing.
Oh yeah, the other tool that you guys have.
Yeah. So so the Euroline is the most recent of some finishing aspects. Some things don't want to say to yet because I'm still working on them, and I've learned that now through creating different products that I need to essentially keep my mouth shut, create it, and then put it out there because people are trying to beat to the point and who's what, and it's just a sad aspect of the whole thing. I just want to create things and get them out there to people, and these are things people need. I love to just start naming these things off because the people will be like, yes, dude, why isn't someone doing that yet? I love to fill those little voids of where this thing would make things so much easier. And there's some things I learned from Jack too that are really nice. I'll get in a second. So I started with the finishing aspect side of where I created a few products, and I don't market them much because I don't do a whole lot of finishing consistently. It's for per project kind of thing. But so creating my own version of a holster for the HVLP style guns, gravity fed guns, I personally use them because I don't mind filling a cup over and over. For me to catalyze a solvent product and run it through a whole pump, like to me, that's like to wash that out and clean it. I don't care mixing and filling a cup every time because I will focus on every piece that I spray beautifully, clean, and take my time like I learned from George. It's always like, just take your time. To go backwards in a finish takes way more time than you to take an extra few seconds to just take your time.
Well, and then I learned from the refinishing world in furniture, because I have a lot of those guys on. The reason the furniture refinishers that are restoring old furniture, they don't mess with 2K. They don't like it because it's almost damn near impossible to go backwards if you mess something up, because once that stuff is set, it's set. So like when you get into the premium wood coatings, you don't going backwards. You might as well go all the way back to the table saw,
to lacquers and converter varnishes at that point.
And that's a lot of. But if you don't want to go backwards, so you got to take your time and slow down and do it right.
Yeah, and so from that aspect, I wanted to create the things that I was using in my shop more for other people to be able to use as well. So I started with that holster. And the benefit that I like that it's plastic. There's not many holsters that are plastic. So when you put that $1,000 gun you bought into a metal holster and it scratches that front end constantly, like, oh, I got this really nice decal gun. I paid extra for it because I wanted a nice gun, but I'm scratching it every time I put it in a holster. It's like, no. So the one I designed was to hold that. There's some flexibility in it. So if you ever knock into it, it's not like you're going to scrape the side of your arm, if you're going to the side and put it. And that it hooks behind where the cup is so it won't fall off the hook. So like some holsters do that, some don't. So I'm trying to look at every aspect of me actually spraying and using it. And that's what I like about every product that I've created is that I'm creating it because I'm actually going to use it. So I'm going to try to think every aspect of it through that. I've used other holsters that I come by and actually my foot touches the hose that's on the floor a little bit and gave it a little bit of a tip, and that top heavy cup just falls and the whole gun falls. I'm like, oh, there goes all that paint. And so I created it so that it holds the gun so it won't come out on you and it won't fall. Then there was the spray stands that I got halfway through that project because I didn't put extra effort into finding the stand that I wanted. So I created just the arms for people to adapt to any turntable that they want. So just 4 arms, the typical paint line co, which most people know, that's 3 arms that stick out, pins that hold up to hold your board. Well, I created a just simple 4 arms. So now you have a nice stable base for these things that have elongated slots to where you put inserts, and then you put it onto any table you want. If you're using some crates and you put them up in a piece of plywood, or if you already have a turntable, just put these on there. And now these can slot out in different directions to hold a nice baseboard. If you're doing a toe kick for a cabinet and you're doing just a 4-inch wide strip and just a long one or a piece of trim, you just pull them out, pull them narrow.
You don't need that box of random paint covered wood sitting in the corner
anymore. So these you can articulate and they come up at a certain height. So now you don't get a whole lot of bounce back underneath, so that you can have as minimal of a base for the whole turntable, let's call it, and that the spray can just go flow underneath and not hit and come back up underneath. So avoiding all of those complications. And that the caps on the ends of these arms come with the standard round cap or a cone that goes up more to a smaller round point, not a point, that both of these have a foam pad that when the weight of your piece is on there, it won't slip off. So one, you're not going to scratch the door from turning the table. It'll stay in place. And that cushion doesn't leave any deformations into your piece. If, let's say, the paint didn't fully cure and you're trying to flip too fast and you're leaving marks. So I had the holster. And see, the thing is, you say genius, but to me, it was like this is simple. Like, why doesn't someone do this? So I'm like, okay, let me do it. Let me make it.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I can't tell how many times I'd be spraying, and I mean, I was the what is it they say, invention or need is the necessity of invention, or whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
okay.
like
Yeah.
a bar stool and a $2.50 Lazy Susan from Home Depot or Lowe's, and putting a wood block on top of that was a little bit bigger than the bar stool that was on, or those 24-inch or 18-inch concrete forms that you buy at Home Depot. So, I mean, I used to do all kinds of stuff like that, because when I had my company, I think towards the tail end, everything started coming out, and I was like, I'm cheap. I didn't want to buy anything. I think one time I invested in one of those spray stands, the 3 spray stand from what's his name? He's up in Minnesota. He's got those spray racks or the door racks, the crazy awesome. He used to be a painter. Mike his name's Mike. God dang it, that's gonna drive me crazy. But he invented those man doors, those where you could flip the door, and he had basically like a T handle that was screwed to the top and the bottom of the door, and then you could stack them vertical by the.
Then I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He made a spray stand that I bought, and that thing was like $600 $600. It was like insane. It's all aluminum, and it was all metal, and like 80/20, and it was really nice. And I was OCD, like the guys. I was like, wrap that thing with Saran wrap. Don't you get anything paint on that thing? How it goes when you buy tools. What else do you guys have?
Yeah. So from the spray stands, what else? Oh, there's a product that I brought in that some people do know, some don't. And it's not one that I created, was the mixing lids. So they clamp onto your standard gallon paint cups or quart size. There's a company, Dinos, out there that's well known in the automotive industry. So I had a friend I grew up with that went really into the automotive side of finishes, and I would talk to him every now and then. And then I found out after looking into the automotive side of things where they're very meticulous about finishes.
Yes.
So like what I like to do is that, like, even though we're in wood coatings, there's still other industries that paint. Like, what do they do to paint? And then when I look into it, okay, wow, they have these whole mixing racks that literally put the can in with these lids, and they're just constantly agitating the product. And so when I got a hold of the company that makes them, talked to them about distributing them, because I'm like, I think these would be great for just even small shops to have. I'm not talking about having the whole mixing system, but just having these lids. They're readily available. You can pull the lever and pour exact amounts, because we're dealing in very precise amounts. And that you can just put your drill chuck onto it and just use your drill to mix it. You don't need the whole mixing rack. So put those on the website so that it's easier for people to find those products.
So when it comes to the products and the website, is it only on the website, or do you have a store in Chicago, or are you doing any sort of distribution retail, or is it strictly online?
So right now it's strictly online. I'm working now to, like I said, the last 2 years, this became more full time, that now I'm starting to now branch into retail. And starting with certain products, depending on where I'm talking to, I'm trying to tackle both markets now, that working with Jeff in the Euro line. So now I have a few things on the finish side of the market, will still be in the carpentry side of things or the cabinetry side, to where, talk to tool stores or finish stores. Oh, I'm sorry. And then there's the other one, finish side of things, is sander light. It's a big thing now. And people are understanding more known as the inspection lights beforehand. And then that idea, you obviously know, is the raking light that comes down at an angle, so we can see all those imperfections of the hills and valleys when it comes down. So now that I've had built up those finishing products, a few things, and then with Jeff, now I can look to talk to paint stores, like offer, hey, I got the sander lights, I got these holsters for people, I can custom color it, if they're particular. They spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, not thousands, on their guns. Like, why not put it into a holster or, all those kind of products? And the sanding light being the one thing that, as a painter, you have your light and you're trying to find those imperfections when you're working. And Festool recently has theirs launched for their sander, but it's a whole brand new light.
Yeah, if I'm not, and I didn't know that was you, but yours is there's one out there that's universal, and you can put it on, a 5-inch or 6-inch orbital around, and it actually attaches. Does yours attach to the sander?
Yes. So mine is a separate attachment to a sander. It's not universal. It's specific to the sander.
Okay, it is specific. Okay, I've seen those. I didn't know that was yours. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's me. So the idea is that it's a custom fit attachment to a sander, and I started top down. I'm I'm a very big advocate of Mirka. I love their sanders. Phenomenal. When you're talking those top tiers, you got your Festools, your Mirkas, your Surf Preps. I mean, they're all great sanders, but the thing I'm looking for is function. Like the Mirka feel, the format of it. You'll see a picture online on Amazon of the vibration. It's until you put it in your hand. And now making all the sander lights, I'm over 150 different models of sanders that I've made the lights for. And so when you're starting to find those knockoffs on Amazon that are, this looks like a Mirka sander, the style, the paddle with the body, everything. Once they're physically in front of you, you're like, yeah, there's a reason why this one is the Ferrari and that one's the Toyota, call it. And so working with the sander lights to create, those adapters to go onto, so people could have that light protruding. And then I feel like I shot myself in the foot when I first launched it, that I made it $50, $50 for a light that goes on your sander. That's a $600 sander. And then I want to keep it there so that I can say it's like, this goes back to creating a product and saying, if it's going to go on the market, do I charge what this could be valued at, or do I charge what it really should be valued at, essentially?
That kind of goes into, business is business. We're all in it to make money. I just say that when you get into it's a fine line in the finishing world. And that's what I've learned over my 15 plus 20 years almost in this industry. We are the weirdest group of tradesmen in the world. Because you tell us that we need to pay $1,000 fucking for a spray gun. Okay. $6,000, $7,000 for a Kremlin rig. Okay. But then when you tell us that we should pay $100 for paint and not $20, we're like, you lost your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Same thing with brushes. Like you see, that brush is $20. That's a good brush. This brush over here, I had Larry on with the International Craft Revival. He does a lot of imported brushes, makes them in Europe. Really fine hair, and his brushes are not inexpensive. Like, man, it's just a paintbrush. But you're going to buy $1,000 paint gun.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that painters will pay for. They'll buy a $600 sander, but then when you go tell them the Cubitron or the Mercanet,
the
sandpaper,
grits of paper,
they're like, 8,000 grit paper. That stuff's like 6 pads for like $150. I'm not paying that.
Yeah. But you bought the tool to use it. That you're not going to use the nicer paper. Like, it's meant to be used with it. Yeah. No,
we're a weird bunch, that's for sure.
Yeah. So then taking those tools, really trying to get those out to the market, trying to fill those little things that really I feel like haven't been fixed, or when I'm working myself and doing the actual work. Like, that's why I try to bring it all back to, is that to this day, like, you can say I'm an inventor, I'm an engineer, I'm a college dropout kid who's very passionate about what I do in this work, that I'm at a very unique position now that I've self-taught myself how to model things. I YouTube anything I didn't know. I got into the programs, and the difference between 2D modeling with AutoCAD and then 3D modeling, there's a big jump there, but it's not too far. So I'm like, okay, I had a basics here, but like, okay, 3D model, like I got to learn how to 3D model, and then also how to model where components work with each other. Like, okay, that's the whole nother thing, because then you have to reevaluate how do you start modeling something to go forward. Assess it from the beginning. Okay, I want this to be the end product. Okay, I got to make sure I build it in certain ways so that it works together once I get to the end. There's a lot of like thinking that whole process. Like when you approach, let's say, a refinishing project, it's not going there and, okay, just start tearing the doors off, start sanding, and we'll just paint things as we go. Like, no, you think about it first. I'm going to take the doors off. I'm going to bring them to the shop. We're going to spend a day there prepping and painting while someone's working there. We're going to work on site, sanding and prepping. You're thinking every step through. That's the same thing with the 3D modeling aspect. So I got to really be aware of, like, what am I trying to create here? What is the end goal? And then build from there and reach that goal. And while I'm trying to create these products, I'm thinking to myself, am I going to use this? And then also the value aspect of it. What will this sell for? Because if I'm going to put this much time into creating something, it's got to be worth someone saying, yeah, I'll pay that for that product, and I'll see the value when it comes out of it in the end.
Do you want your brand in front of the people who actually move product? Painters, finishers, and manufacturers? The Bearded Finisher podcast has pulled in over 75,000 downloads and reaches across the entire finishing supply chain, from job site to manufacturing. From single episode sponsorships to social media promotion, we offer flexible options that get your brand noticed. Real reach, real results. Visit thebeardedfinisher.com and let's get your brand front and center. Are you a residential painter buried in admin, scheduling chaos, or constant material delays? Meet mypaintbuckets.com, the first dedicated project management platform built by painters for painters. It delivers turnkey workflows to simplify your day, from project sharing and material ordering to scheduling and EPO capture, so you can focus on scaling your crew and maintaining the reputation you've worked so hard to build. And if you're a supplier, painters are evolving faster, smarter, and more efficient than ever. The suppliers who thrive over the next 10 years will be the ones who build real trust. That's why we created free tools to help you keep up and stay relevant. Head to mypaintbuckets.com and see why the next generation of painters isn't looking back.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting world. I think about that because I was just thinking as you were talking. It's Brian with Pretty Boy Paint Cleaner. His episode just came out, and he goes into depth in his episode about. He's like, I don't understand why this is, like you said, I don't understand why this doesn't exist. A cleaner and the surfactants and everything he did to create the product, and created the product, and realized that now he's got to create the market.
I see, yeah.
To create the market for the product, because there's really nothing out there like what he's doing. And that's kind of like what you're doing. Like you've got to think about that in the end. Like you've created some awesome products, and in some cases you almost are going to have to create the market for the product. And if you're creating the market for the product, there's value in that and time in that. So you've got to put it in the product. So, I mean, I get it. There's a lot to think about when you're doing like product R&D and all that, because, what you're thinking and what you think is going to be an awesome tool that you would use it, there may not be a market out there for it. So the time and effort it takes to go in
and to reach those people, like there's not someone, what? I didn't think of it that way. And that's a good point. Yeah, because there's other than Festal being a person in the market who can put a product out there and they have all the marketing resources to like literally get it out there right away to everyone. So like, I think it was a good timing to get out there with creating this product because I launched in December for the Sander Light, and Festool just during December, around the time that they launched the idea, that, hey, we're coming out with a light with a sander on it. And I know it takes a lot of time for them to get to that point. Because as a side note, this was, well, how long has it been now? It's got to be 3-4 years. So for a short period, there was doing my own cabinetry stuff, and then I was going to partner with a best friend and another person to do a cabinet manufacturing company here in Chicago. I would be the manufacturing aspect of it, so controlling how we build our cabinets, how we finish. We're in a semi-custom cabinet line. They would be sales and design aspect of it. So we all had our own lane, 3 partners. Anyways, into the business. Long story short, I saw it wasn't really going to work out. I'm glad I got out when I did, because there was a lot of overlap of how they wanted to do things. And then I'm telling them, no, we have to start this way. Like, you guys are not the cabinet makers. I am, and you're jumping the gun here. We have to start here. So I got out of it. They invested a whole ton of machineries that I found out recently. They are trying to get rid of the whole business entirely. They're just too far into it.
I mean, partnerships they're rough.
Yeah. And then I learned at that point too, out of the whole thing, it was tough because I had to move my whole shop from where I was into this new location. I was only there for 3 months. Then I had to remove my whole shop somewhere else last minute because it became very volatile at the end, get out. It's like, okay. So I had to reset up, and then I learned obviously what it's like working with partners. I've always worked by myself or under my dad, but working with my dad, it's like working with yourself. It's family. You're together. Like, I love my dad.
You can fight, you can cuss, but you're still
your family. Yeah.
You're still family. You're still having lunch on Sunday.
Yeah. And so that was like, I got to get out of here and get as far away from this as possible. Get my name out of everything in here because I do not want to be associated with this. Once I left from there, as I was leaving, I actually got approached by Festool to work for them. And it was to design tools that they would design 5, 6, 7 years down the road. So come up with original ideas, produce these tools, go through the whole design aspect, because I was the only person, according to them, during the interview, that they had 50 applicants for the job for the U.S. market, that I'm a part of those applicants, even though I didn't apply, but they reached out to me because they saw my experience and what I'm doing, that all these people had college degrees. I didn't. That was their one thing. Oh, we can't give you much because you don't have college degrees. I don't see to be honest, that to me, that's a moot point in this whole operation of what you want done. That's a moot point, because they also said the reason we're very interested in you is because you have come up with an idea, designed it, manufactured it, tested it, and marketed it. You've done every aspect of a tool, but all these other applicants just have a college degree and they're out of college. Like, so I'm the one for the job, or am I not the one for the job?
How many tools have they created, manufactured, marketed?
Yeah. So at that point, it was an honor to be even approached for that, to be honest. It's a big company and it's a very well-known company, but it came down to money. It was not worth what I would have to drop personally for my cabinetry side, or as I was just kind of really doing the inventions, I would have to drop one of the two. And for me, it would really have to be dropping the inventions, because I would be inventing for someone else.
Yeah. You'd be getting into a conflict of interest there.
Yeah, a lot of that. So, what was offered for the job, I'm sorry, I cannot work for that. Unless you want to come up, I'm sorry, it's not worth this job. And what I could bring to the table, I confidently can say is worth a lot more than that. So fine. I was happy to even have the conversation with them, and it was kind of a boost, like, oh, wow. So then that's where I really went towards like, okay, I'm inventing products. I'm still doing cabinetry because that was more full time. Then I got into the inventions more and more. As more ideas kind of snowballed, and I got very good at prototyping. Like, okay, I can work through models. I can start prototyping things faster. I've got more efficient at it. That now it's like, okay, like I don't have enough 3D printers for manufacturing, coming up with the products while I'm still manufacturing everything. Because a lot of what I try to do is I do as much as I can in-house. And if there's some parts that I physically, there's no way for me to make, even if I was even bigger in manufacturing, just the pneumatic fittings that I use for some of the clamping systems. I'm not going to make my own pneumatic fittings. I'm going to buy them in bulk from a manufacturer who makes those raw components.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So then it became creating so many products, 3D printing, where I have so many printers now. I'm up to 36.
Holy cow!
But I want to have like probably 50. Like 36 is like I need more. Like that's not enough. Like I want to be at 50 printers to keep up with the workload that I'm doing. So as in like producing parts while still prototyping other products. Like as I'll be working on 2 to 3 products at a time. And I'm learning how to get better at when I'm prototyping, that I'm not forgetting, okay, I'm testing this product because I wanted to test these tolerances. I'm testing this product because I wanted to see the size on this. I want to test this product for this. And when I come back to the first one, I was like, wait, what was I testing on this one? What was I changing? What was, like, I got to take better notes of like, I was trying to test the diameters on something to see how it would come out. And I'm like, what setting did I use? Oh, I didn't save a separate file. Shoot. No, I don't know where I was before to where I am now.
So it sounds like you need to get production out, man. You need to get in that who, not how. Find somebody to make the stuff that's already done for you. Then you just get to prototype. You don't have to worry about all that.
Exact. And now it's become where I've grown to a point where I really wanted to keep it as much in-house for just me. But now, since my dad is not doing as much work, I bring him into the shop and I say, Dad, just put all these parts together. Like I've streamlined the whole assembly process because I would assemble thousands of miter clamps just alone by myself. And so I tell him, assemble these so I can focus on prototyping and just keep. And the moment I started bringing him in and we started, building a better relationship now, which is great, that he sees what I was kind of implying from the history of us being together, beating like, Dad, do it this way. Like, this is simpler. He's seeing what I was trying to like help him be more efficient at. And he's like realizing it now. He's like, wow, he tells me like, you really know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that for years, but you didn't listen to me.
Yeah, it's father-son relationship. It just can't work that way. Man, that is awesome. I mean, that is some incredible stuff. I hope you keep coming with the good products, man. I mean, I've seen the sander light. I've seen the videos you've posted and Jeff posted on the Euro tool. I mean, the miter clamps, now that I understand, I didn't really know that is what it was called, but it makes perfect sense now. It's kind of like one of those oh duh moments, like shit. That's awesome, man. Well, I don't want to keep you on here too much longer. I know we've been on here a while. I mean, it happens, but I always like to end. And if you've caught any episodes, one of my favorite ways to end is one, I'm going to tell everyone out there, I'm going to have I'm going to have Dino's link down in the comments of the podcast. So you guys can go check out his website, go follow him on social media. But Dino today, grabbing, we'll say you're in Chicago, so you're grabbing a slice of pie, runs into 19-year-old Dino. What's the number one piece of advice you're going to give him?
Things I would tell myself back then, but
top 2. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, just for the listeners out there that are maybe stuck right now and not really knowing where to go, and wishing they could have some of the advice.
I think the thing that I started to see pretty early, but I wish I'd seen it even sooner. Because like I said, dropping out of college, I already knew what I wanted to do. And I was just going into debt to be in college for what? Like, the advice I'd give myself is just start sooner. The sooner you get it, the more time you have under your belt. And before you know it, you'll be in that position. Because now, I mean, like, having kids, like before having kids, every year it felt like a certain time. Like, this is a kind of a year's a long time. You get a lot done. But then when kids get in the picture, like my youngest is 3 now, I'm like, it's been 3 years already, and it just flies by. And I'm like, if I would have started something 3 years ago, before I know it, I would be at such a further point along.
Mind blowing.
That it's so much. Yeah, I would tell myself, just get started. There's so much out there when it comes to the trades, and that's why I just love it. And there's a phrase my dad told me, a Greek phrase that was, I was trying to blank. It goes, "Mathe techni asti, otan pinas piasti." And hopefully I said it in the right way, because it's been a while since I spoke a bit of Greek. But it's learn a trade and like kind of hold on to it or forget it, and when you're hungry, use it, kind of a thing.
Oh, that's
so
a good
like
one.
Anything that has to deal with any type of a trade, you're a plumber, a painter, an electrician, a carpenter, it's a trade. And there's always going to be a use for a tradesman in any aspect. And so it just, and there's just how many people that, I mean, and it's funny to even say this, but there are people that won't even change a light bulb for themselves. Like, that's not a figure of speech, that they will hire a handyman to come and change a light bulb. And it's like, I mean, that's a very kind of real but very exaggerated aspect of that. But there's always a need for someone who knows how to fix things.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and going back to what you said the first time, like there's I don't know if she's motivational, but I've ran across her on social media, and she was like, I cannot shout this big enough. Shout it from every rooftop, and verbatim, take the biggest fucking risk of your life when you're young, because you've got time. Just take the risk, because like you said, my son turns 8 next month. I swear to God, he was born last week.
Yeah.
8. And I'm like, what happened? How did 8 years go by so fast? And it's different, but just take the risk. I mean, just go for it. Start sooner, not later. Just start. I mean,
yeah, and that risk doesn't have to be, because this will scare people when you say take the risk. Is that like, I'm going to go into debt, I'm going to, this and that. It's like, no, take the risk of like, get into it. It could be just learning under someone, part-time, but just like get started. It doesn't have to be where you dump all your life savings into something to do it. Like, no,
risk is like a, it's an adjective for, it can be used for anything. Put yourself in the most uncomfortable situation to learn something new, because at some point you're going to talk yourself into it. I mean, since I got out of sold my painting business, and we've started multiple other businesses, not in the painting world, and buying businesses, and I'm in my 40s, and I feel like I figured it out, not figured it out, but how to buy businesses and kind of the secret sauce. And it's not as hard as they make it out to be.
No,
it's not as hard to start a business as they make it out. Like, they scare you into thinking you can't do it. And I'm like, it's really not that hard.
And there's another aspect, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not great on business side of things, because I didn't study any kind of business stuff in college. I just went into it. My dad was never a good example of like the legal side of like running a business and the bookkeeping and all that. What I did learn is that that's where you give that, like you said, work with someone who fills those gaps. Like, someone asked me about my accounting. They'd be like, okay, your taxes. A good friend of mine I talked to quite a bit, Tim, And he's very meticulous about his own. He's a one-man shop, very talented craftsman, that he's very on top of his accounting with QuickBooks and all that stuff. And he always knows his accounting like on a dime. Like he can just look it up, right? Whatever it is. And he asked me about it. I'm like, I don't know. He's like, how do you not know? I'm like, because I have an accountant that he just asked me for my bank statements. I give it to him and that's it. I don't think about it. Like I give that job to someone else so I can keep doing the job that I'm doing because I don't need to learn that.
No, that's a who not how situation. I mean, some people say, check them so they don't steal money. I think there's got to be
when you got multiple people involved, but for me, it's literally just me.
But it's like, being able to pass something off like that in that book of who not how is how, when you focus on what you do, it makes everything else possible. When you can put your 90% of your focus on the core of what you're good at, money will find you.
Oh yeah.
Without a doubt. I don't care. I can argue that statement forever with anybody. You focus on what you do and don't worry about find someone to do it that you trust. You give them a vision. Here's the way I want it done. They do it that way and they execute it. Don't worry about it. You don't got to micromanage them. Let them do their thing. You do your thing. Put your focus on what you do because that is what allows you to pay him to do what he does.
Yeah. I'll leave you with one last thing here, and the whole relationship with me and Jeff, because he's now the second person that I'm working with on a situation like this, where someone has reached out to me where they have an idea for a product, and they don't have the means or ways to get out there to get a product to market. The first one was Jim Lundquist with Swede Tools or Swede Carpenter on Instagram. He's a carpenter that works for a lot of builders in the area, and had an idea for a scribe tool that did multiple different things, like a Swiss Army. A Swiss Army of like a carpenter that needs a thing that does kind of a few different things. And so what's really nice is that after working with Jim to help develop what he had in his mind for a product, and he went to go patent, he's in the process of patenting the design, but I'm manufacturing it for him. So I worked with him for a very long time, for about a year, I think it was, of reiterating it, redesigning it to create his Swede tool. Then now working with Jeff, who reached out, okay, I got this idea for something, went through the whole process, creating a tool for him. Is it? I like that I am in a very unique position where I have the ability to work with people, depending on the agreement and how we work this out. For the most part, and it won't work this way for everyone, but for the most part, this is what I like to try to keep it, is that if someone approaches me with an idea, I'm not here to take anyone's idea. I say, hey, if you're really serious about something, here's a referral to the patent attorney that I use, and talk to them to figure out the pricing, what it would take to patent. They could do a whole search for what, if it's worth patenting, because there's a lot of things involved. If it's novel, all these different things, or if there's something already out there. Now, beyond that point of patenting is creating a product. I have the means to prototype, create, and manufacture a product that we can say, hey, I have a fee, the manufacturing fee. So if you're going to order a product that you've created, you're going to have a manufacturing fee to the manufacturer to produce the part. Well, mine's going to be a flat fee, and we'll figure out what that price is once we have a final design. And it might be a little bit more expensive than, say, you're buying 1,000 pieces and you think, oh, this should cost $1 per piece because of the 1,000 of these pieces, and it's simple things. Like, no, mine might be $2, $3 per piece, because I'm not going to charge for the whole prototyping, designing aspect of things. So if you decide that, when we go through this, and I'm going to evaluate it as well, I'm not just like taking anyone off the street. I'm going to evaluate. I think this is a good thing. I think this is what the market needs for a product, that I'll be involved with it to say, I'll help prototype it. I'm not going to charge anything. Like, I'm going to work with it if I think it's a good idea. But now when you go to sell it, my manufacturing costs can be a little bit more, but that's built into it, saying we don't have to put any money up front. Let's work on producing the part that works. And then from there, you're ordering parts from me to manufacture it. But if you're selling those parts, that pays for it. So really, at the end of it, no money involved. If you're selling them, you're making money and I'm making money on them part made. So at that point, there's no money invested in. There's literally, if you can sell it, then you're making money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to do it. I mean, and it goes back to that transformational relationship. Like you're evaluating the inventor and the product at the same time as I mean, you're both going forward, just like we've talked about multiple times. Everyone's going forward. So, I mean, that's you're out there, listeners, a finishing community. You've got an idea for a tool, you want to run it by him or see if he thinks it might be a good idea, man. I mean, like I said, stuff's going to be, is contact information is going to be down in the comments here in the description. Give him a holler. I mean, he's there. He's a great tool to have. I mean, Jeff has nothing but awesome things to say about you. So, I mean, finishers out there, let's see what kind of tools we can add to Kuros Tools and make everyone's life a little easier.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, through me. Like the agreement that I have with Sweet Tools, and we might change it soon, but it really started that I would just make it for him and he would put it on his own site, sell it himself, and he just buy in bulk from me, wholesale. And with Jeff, because he didn't have a platform already to sell, we're just putting it on my site. And then, we have our agreement on how we split, what we're working on.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. I mean, so you're open to ideas
I'm open to ideas. And the thing that I really want to that I like about this whole thing is that at least as far as I know, I don't know any company that really works like this, where they're trying, and I'm dealing right now with an injection mold manufacturing company, and it's a lot of money up front. Get the mold made to, all this stuff. And then the first initial batch has to be so many minimum pieces. And when you're saying, oh, it's only going to be like $5 per piece, but like minimum orders 5,000 pieces, like 5 times 5,000, that adds up real fast just for one order of a batch. So it's like, okay, I can work on pretty decent sized production or even small quantities, but it's working with someone like Jeff let's say in this instance, where, he doesn't have money to just throw into like that whole process of creating a product, but he has a good idea. He's a person who does the work and knows this is valuable. And he's like, this would be great if other people could actually use this. And so that's why I want to be as like somewhat of a resource for that, to say, my focus is like, I want to introduce more tools into the world that are useful from guys who use them and have so much experience saying, this is the same jig I've been using for 20 years. It's worked so well, but no one wants to make this. It's like, well, why not? Like, could be used for everyone. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same instance. I had a guy owns a company called Stop Loss Bags, and they're like bags that have zero air in them that you can store paint and stain in. And he bought the company from the guy who created it. And the guy who created it was a woodworker. He just needed a way to store his stain that didn't dry up in a paint can. And it's like, the best inventions come out of necessity. So, I mean, I think it's great that you're a resource to both the woodworking industry and the finishing industry. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I love both aspects of it. And
man, that's awesome. Well, hey, Dino, I'm going to let you go. I don't want to keep you too much longer. I appreciate you coming on, brother. This was an awesome conversation. As things come about, people reach out and create new tools. When you can talk about those other new products that are coming out that we're zip, hush, hush right now, man, holler at me. Let's do another episode and let's talk about some more products.
Yeah, I think a lot of those things are going to come from working with Jeff, because I know he has a lot of ideas, and I keep telling him, jot it down, man. You're going to forget about it one day, and then it's going to come back to you like a few months later, like, oh, I had that. So I tell him, write it all down, because we'll just start tackling one by one.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, hey, everybody, again, go check out Dino, Kuros Tools. Check him out. Shout out the website and your social media so everybody can get out there and make sure they're following you real quick.
Yep. It's Kuros Tools on Instagram. That's about it. I mean, I've really focused on just Instagram.
Website for tool buying.
KurosTools.com.
Kuros Tools. Kuros.
Yeah, don't worry. People get his Kouros tools.com.
All right. And I'll have it down there in the comments as well. Hey, make sure you guys are liking every episode, shooting the comments. I love reading the comments. Subscribe any platform you guys are listening to your podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you again, Dino, for coming on, and we will see everybody next week.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Bearded Finisher Podcast. We thank everyone for joining. Keep hustling, keep learning, and never settle for anything less than your best. Remember, the path to perfection is a journey, not a destination. Until next time.